For all intents and purposes, today is a very unique day and probably one of my very most special reviews I have ever done. Folks, I'm really excited. We're going to jump into my review of the new series, Dexter, New Blood. What's up, folks, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the series Dexter, a New Blood, which is coming to Showtime November 7th. The first episode is premiering 9 p.m. that night. Now, this has been a long road here. I was a semi-fan of the original series. I watched it mainly because I had relatives who really loved it, so I checked it out kind of from the back, but I really didn't get into the psychology of the show. But I did at one point went back to watch it, and I realized how fantastic it was. And then when they announced that they were going to return, it was in October in 2020, I was like, wait, what? They're going to revive Dexter? I thought it was too good to be true. But finally getting a chance to watch it, I gotta say that this is fantastic. Folks are going to be blown away by this series. This either whether you have been a long-term fan or you just jumping on board right now, this series does a lot of amazing things. For all you folks who loves a good murder mystery, a psychological thriller, you will be satisfied. You do have folks from the original series reprising their roles. You do have characters finally getting some storylines and arcs kind of fleshed out now. You're getting a lot. And no matter what this show does, it still knows where its heart is from the original series, which is a very important thing for everybody who's looking for the nostalgia from the original series, who's coming into this hoping that they still know the magic. And indeed they do. And while things are a little bit updated, which I'll talk about in a second, because Dexter Morgan, now going by Jim, he realized he can't move the same way he used to move. But at the same time too, he is now living in Iron Lake, New York, which is a small community. He's working at a local fish and game shop, and he's moving forward with his life. He has left all the things he's done in the past. It's been about 10 years since he's killed somebody. He is a changed man now, but we all know he still possessed that monster in him, but he's learning to deal with it. He has a girlfriend. We'll talk about something else in a second, but he's moving forward. But in this small remote town, which is kind of off the grid, but it's still in New York, so it's not really off the grid. There's a lot of temptation within this town. You have other folks who are doing things that he's not too fond of. And while he continues to suppress this, people are really pressing his buttons. So there's a little bit of internal conflict. And if you remember from the original series, he sort of had that same conflict with his dad. Well, now it seems like he's getting a little bit of his own his own medicine here, because Deb is now doing it to him, which I really love the banter between Deborah Morgan and himself, when she's basically keeping it real with him, letting him know exactly who he is, and he's fighting really hard to explain to her that he is no longer that person. So that's where this show really excels, is because it still keeps the same essence of the original series, but now going into this one is kind of adding some new factors into it. I mean, hell, I'll even go as far as saying that Dexter Morgan, now Jim, he may not even be the most dangerous person in his town, and he doesn't even know that. And that's where things start to get really, really interesting. Now, Harrison Morgan, a name that you may have remembered from the original series, he has grown up. It's been about 10 years. His son, played by Jack Alcott, he now arrives in town. And the thing here is that Jim originally, he obviously left his son, and they talk about that. Obviously that's got to be the biggest thing here. It's like, why did you leave me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They fleshed that all out, so we know where Harrison's been all this time. But more or less, he understands that while his dad tried to protect him, in terms of Dexter, while his dad tried to protect him, he realized that it's his responsibility now to protect Harrison. And there's one thing we all should remember here: like father, like son. That saying, you have to think that because of Dexter's mind, he realizes that DNA reasons that Harrison may possess exactly the same traits that he has, which is not good for anybody. So we see the two of them try to live a life together as father and son, but also realizing that their family is very much tainted by this demon presence, shall we say? The will and need to kill, and it gets interesting. But at the same time, too, Harrison is in a new town. He's trying to get along with some other kids. He is trying to, fit in just regular school stuff, and he's not so much of a introvert like his dad. So that's what's cool too, because we're not seeing just a carbon copy of who Dexter was 10 years ago. We're seeing him obviously be his father's son, but he's different. He's more outgoing. This is why I like the banter between the two of them really works. And then when you add Deb in there too, it also kind of really works. It's a very good dynamic between the three of them. So overall, I'm enjoying this series a lot right now, and I cannot wait for folks to see it. Now, look, I did say this was going to be a special review, and as of right now, besides the show being special, you're like, well, what do I got? What's so special about it? I have talked about this. I have dreamed about this for a long time, and I always said on my bucket list, I would love to do a review with somebody who's actually in a show or a movie that I watched. Like, for them seeing it for the first time and for me seeing it the first time, we kind of kick back and we kind of talk about like our thoughts about it. I am so privileged today to have my friend returning to the show to talk about his role as Mr. Williams in it. We got to kind of screen a little bit about who this character is. We can give a little bit, but not too much. But I'm super excited today because returning back here at Big Old Belt Media, my buddy, Shawn Fitzgibbon. Sean, what's up, buddy?
How's it going?
Good. It is so good to see you. I miss you, buddy.
I miss you too. How's everything? Okay?
Good. Sean, as I said, plays Mr. Williams in this season of Dexter New Blood. Sean, talk me through it, buddy. You hid this one from me. Talk me through it. What's happening?
Things are going good. Obviously the last time we talked, because, lockdown, everything was kind of crazy. So
yeah.
About, I'm going to say maybe like a month after we talked, things started to get a little bit better. So they started a lot of production, shooting a lot of stuff in Massachusetts. The numbers were good. So they were experimenting with COVID protocols. So I know that they've been working on this reboot for Dexter for a long, long time. They were actually thinking about shooting it in Atlanta. They were actually trying to shoot it in upstate New York. They decided, economically, it just made sense. It was a lot safer. So, I auditioned for a whole bunch of things for this. And it's interesting. Sometimes when you get picked for something, you get pinned. And that's about 95% that means you got it. And usually you find out within a couple of weeks. I waited 3 months before they told me that I officially got it. So, So my agent said it's a record. No one's ever waited that long. But but it was great to to get back to work, to start doing things, and it was different. Now that, because of how things are right now, when you're shooting things, obviously safety is a factor. So you're doing everything online instead of meeting people, maybe doing a rehearsal or having a projection and all that. But when you start doing like wardrobe fitting and stuff like that, you got to do a rapid test. You got to wait 12 hours before you get the results, and if you're okay, then when you get on set, you got to do another one. Yeah. So it was different and unique to see everyone's faces all covered up. And in between scenes, everyone had to make sure that obviously you didn't have COVID, if you were vaccinated and all that. And so it was kind of weird. So they kind of had like most of the cast together, but kind of separate a little bit.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a lot of time to have to rehearse, to have some banter. So a lot of it was kind of on the fly. Yeah, which is kind of cool. It was scary and but interesting at the same time. So it was nice. It was it's like one of those things, like a relief pitcher. You got to be good right now. So
good analogy.
Everyone had to bring their A game up on this one. But this was very exciting to be a part of. And just like you said, I was kind of a casual fan when the series first came out. I'm gonna have to say, like, maybe the last 2 seasons, I got to be honest, I checked out. And it was maybe a couple weeks after we found out that we were good, they were going to start filming it. I said, maybe I'll check it out. Yeah. And what do you think about it so far? I think it's I love the direction that it's going.
Oh yeah, it's and again, that's I think it's important for folks because it's always the thing when something gets revived, folks want to know, well, does it keep the original series true? You know, and
Right.
yes, you absolutely get the essence from the original series. You still have the nostalgia from it, but it's updated
Hmm.
because you know things in the climax of murders are different now. You know, you can't just do certain things and expect the same results when technology is getting better, and they make a very early presence in this, letting you know that everyone has cameras now. So
Right.
you have to move different, you know, and you know, how we do DNA and whatnot, you know, everything is much more different. Social media is a play, as we see by Jamie Chung's character, who is a real she's a podcaster,
Yep.
as one of the most popular crime podcasters, where she can put out a tweet and people do the investigation for her. So
Yeah.
everything is different now. So like I appreciate that because now it makes you think like, okay, now people have to be extra smart now. You have to use extra tools, extra
Right.
resources in order to commit these heinous crimes, you know? And
Yeah.
this is why I'm so intrigued, because as I said, that we as the viewers, you know, and this is not spoilers, but we as the viewers, no matter how like of an honest man Jim may be, we still know Dexter Morgan is in that body. And at the same time, we're wondering, when is he going to be released? But then he may not even be the most dangerous person in his town, little we know,
Right.
because things are starting to get eerie. There is a lot of what the show is doing really good. There's a lot of misdirection. So my tip to everybody watching is pay close attention to people's eyes and demeanor. I think this was starting to give you hints, but I even still think that, because obviously I haven't seen it all yet, but I
Hmm.
still think that even these clues may end up being misleading misdirection, because that's what I feel like the show is doing right now. The show is pointing fingers in every direction, you know.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
you can have your narrative saying like, oh, it's clearly Dexter Morgan, he's had years of this, you know, or oh, it could be a new character, or it could be that person, or it could be who Jamie Chung's character is blaming, or it could be who the cops are after, you know. It could be so
Yeah.
many different people. No one right now. Hell, it could be Mr. Williams here who has a stake.
No,
You
but
know?
you're absolutely right about the technology. And again, with all the podcasting, you know, and unfortunate and local recent events, you know, that's been the case too.
Yep.
Um, with technology, I think the audience has been more sophisticated. There are cameras everywhere, so I think the show had to be written smarter too.
Yep.
And it's almost more of an interactive experience too. But I think you're right when you said earlier, they definitely have captured the heart of the show, which made it special. Because when it came out, it was like a cultural phenomenon. It was huge.
Mhm.
And then at the same time, it's going, the direction makes sense of how it's written. I also like it's like a revamp and a reboot at the same time. Uh,
Indeed. Good.
and also what you said about the misdirections. Yeah, there's probably maybe 8 different people that, you know, that could be it. And also at the same time, his conversations with Dexter and Deb, it almost plays out like a play. So that's kind of interesting too. It's very intimate. And at one point, you know, is some of this in his head?
Yes.
Because he's a little bit unhinged at this point too. So instead of him hiding in his own identity, now he's almost like living in his own head. Like
Yo.
you said before, trying to control his own monster, and you just don't know. But that's what's really great about this particular series, and I thought they did an amazing job. I don't think they could have done any better than that one. Whether you're
Yeah.
a diehard fan or a casual fan, you're absolutely going to be satisfied and love this series. It's really, really good.
Absolutely agree. Nothing to add there. So I gotta know, how was it
Yes.
seeing yourself, buddy? How was it?
Ah. God. I'm always very, very critical whenever I see myself on camera, you know, and just seeing it's like, I could have done this. I shouldn't have done this. But I think I was pretty happy with this. Danielle Perry, she plays my wife in that scene. And Christian Deledry, I hope I'm pronouncing his name. He plays Ethan. And Jack Alcott.
Mhm.
He's phenomenal in this. And he's a funny guy in real life. He's very, very cool. The set was very laid back and friendly. And the gentleman who directed this episode, he directed most of them. His name is Sanford Bookstaver. he's a genius. He's got a very like a J.J. Abrams kind of vibe going on. So it was very relaxed on set. He pretty much let us do our own takes, and every once in a while he'd give you a bit of an adjustment. So, staying faithful to the script, but there was also a little room to kind of play around with the mood in the room.
Yeah.
And it was a really great experience. I just, I wish I had a few more days to shoot on it.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about this is locally, there's a lot of local people. The actor who plays Zach, that is Oscar Wahlberg. That is Mark Wahlberg's nephew. And his dad, Bob, is also an actor in his own right, too. You get to see the guy who plays Gig, the guy who owns the butcher shop, is one of my best friends, David J. Curtis, local actor and writer and director. And you'll also get to see Father O'Leary from Defending Jacob in this case, too. A lot of locals in that one. So, again, the backdrop from Massachusetts is anywhere is great. They recently passed the tax incentive. So we're getting tons of stuff being filmed here. Right now, they're shooting a Whitney Houston biopic, and they're going to be shooting a reboot of the Boston Strangler movie here too.
Oh,
so that's all coming out. But because locally this has all been shot, and this is one of the few new shows that have been shot through a pandemic, I think a lot of people thought maybe the quality of the content would suffer.
Yeah,
but that's not the case with this show. No,
not at all.
I was pleasantly surprised at how well it is. Yeah,
I have been very I've been making sure that people understand that a lot of the projects that we've been seeing in the last 2 to 3 years, or 2 years, 1 to 2 years, have been pandemic projects, and people have been wizards of production, where you're like smaller cast, maybe potentially smaller budget, obviously whatever it may be, the constraints are much trick, whatever it is, but people are wizards. This by no means looked like a pandemic project. I didn't even know it was filmed during the pandemic. It does not look like it at all. And that's a good thing that you mentioned. The cinematography, the set location is beautiful. The one thing I read in terms of the cinematography, which to your character too, is I love a lot of the shots really up close and intimate that you just feel the emotion. You had a really good, strong emotional scene instantly because you needed to be able to set the tone really quickly about the dynamics of what's happening here. And even on the other end, while you're talking to Jack as well in that scene, also giving you a ton of energy as well. So I really liked how in this show, where again it's a murder mystery or a crime thriller, wherever you want it to be, there's a lot of heart and soul and emotion in it, and I think it has a lot to do with the acting performances and the cinematography. And I just love snow landscapes. I'm just a sucker for that. It's the set location is beautiful.
Oh, good, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, they shot most of it outside of Boston. Was a place called Sherburne Falls. It's west of Boston, and then they shot some of it in the Devon's movie studio, which they shot some of Defending Jacob, Castle Rock. There's a whole bunch of stuff. So all that area it's beautiful. It's never been shot before, and it could be. But like you said, the snow landscape, because it's supposed to take place during Christmas time, is really cool. But the scene that we shot, we actually filmed that in July. So it was hot. And at one point they cut outside to when Harrison enters the hospital, and there's actually snow on the ground. Yeah. So which is kind of funny. It's again it's the movie TV magic. It's great. And like you said, as far as wizardry for the pandemic, yes, I think you have to kind of go back to basics, because you have to scale down the cast. You have to scale down locations. And like I said, that necessity is the mother of all invention. That made it work, and you completely forget about any of this pandemic stuff while you're watching it. So that's great that they did that.
Yeah. Now, I know you may not be able to tell a lot or anything at all, but what could you possibly say where we may be going forward with this season? Because things are getting crazy right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's supposed to be 10 years after the last season. So, and I know that initially that Michael C. Hall has been trying to do one more season. I guess that he wasn't super satisfied at the ending as well. So,
don't
like
think
you said,
anybody really was.
No. I mean, a lot of times, if it's your favorite show, you don't.
No one wants to see it come to an end. Exactly.
No, and I don't think even if it was well written, I just think your preconceived notion is you're going to hate the ending, right? Because it's ending. I think you're right about where you said before that Dexter realized he's not the guy he was 10 years ago. He's older, and now he's a dad. So you've got that whole dynamic, and he's also wondering, will Harrison be like him? And also you have to realize too is what I was thinking about while watching this. They make references to the Trinity Killer, John Lithgow, his dad. Will Harrison be like him, or worst case scenario, will Harrison be worse than him?
Yeah.
Is it a possibility that he could stalk his own son, or vice versa? So you've got that dynamic going through. But it's interesting to see, because you get a guy like Clancy Brown, the great underrated Clancy Brown, who plays Kurt in that. He's a force to be reckoned to. But I like how you said how there's a lot of misdirection. There's about maybe 7 or 8 different possibilities who could have done it.
Yes.
but the performances is great, and it's not just to throw you off scent, but it makes sense, and it's done in a brilliant way. The writing, but like you said, cinematography and the acting in this one, that's the showcase of this season. And I think everyone who's going to watch it, like I said, whether you're a casual fan or a diehard fan, you're going to love this season. It's so well done. It was brilliant. I really like this a lot.
That's awesome. Well, Sean, we're gonna have to talk again once some of these episodes drop out here for the audience. That way we can flesh things out a little bit more in depth with spoilers and whatnot. But you folks can check out the premiere of Dexter New Blood November 7th. It's going to be airing on Showtime, 9 p.m. It is 10 episodes in this special event series. You don't want to miss it. I mean, not just me, but Sean said it himself. This is really a show. And I want to make sure that people understand this. Whether you were an original Dexter fan of the original series, or you're just looking for your next new hottest show to watch, this is the place to be. This is the one. You will thoroughly enjoy it. And I can't wait to talk to you all about everybody's predictions, everybody's suspicions of who is creating havoc in old Iron Lake, New York right now, because there is a lot going on here. And I don't think anybody's truly innocent, but we will see. But Sean, thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you as always. And the seat's always open. And folks, jump in the comments. Let us know your thoughts about this once you check it out. Your excitement for it, for all my long-term fans here. It's going to be crazy in a couple of days. So yeah, jump in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about today. And we will see you very soon together in a tandem, because that has to happen.